Hello and welcome to another episode of Orphan Podcast, FHP. We are without our main man Richard today, but the show must go on, as they say. So let's dive straight into a review of the weekend's Premier League action. And as usual, we will start, unfortunately for Warren, from start to finish, from Saturday lunchtime through to Monday. The big game, the big shock of the weekend, I guess, is the big result Saturday lunchtime. Nottingham Forest 1, Liverpool 0. I don't think anyone saw that coming. Warren, what's your thoughts on this?
You know what? If you look at the history between Liverpool and Nottingham Forest, their games aren't always like this big splash, this big spectacle. There's always like one goal making the difference between who wins. Like when we played them in the FA Cup last season, Jota's goal at like minute 85 was the winning goal. And Liverpool has never won at Nottingham Forest's home ground. Never ever. So history itself said that Liverpool it wasn't going to be that, fourth telling game that everybody thought it was going to be, that Liverpool was winning. Was I surprised that we lost, given that we were in such a big run now of a couple of wins? Yes. But Henderson has been good in the stick, so I'm not surprised that he got a clean sheet at all. And I just think the squad was just thin, and Gomez made some sloppy mistakes. But those are excuses. We didn't get the 3 points, and it's unfortunate. But like we've been saying, the points at the top and even at the bottom are so congested that one win, the next win can leapfrog you into the top 5 or the top 6. So, and we still on 8th place, which I still think is good. It's a long season to go. So yeah, let's see what happens next weekend. But yeah, I was disappointed, of course.
Andreas, what's your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I'm trying to see here. It's Nottingham's second win in the season. So I get what Warren is saying, that historically it's not the best matches Liverpool, and of course like people have the tendency to underestimate the smaller teams, and that's never a good thing, because every team in Premier League is a really good team. But I do think this is a game Liverpool should have won, and the fact that it's Nottingham's second win just shows that Liverpool should have been favorites. And possession wise, they had what did they have? 75% of the ball, Liverpool. So really impressive there, and they had more shots as well. But Nottingham got the goal. I saw the match, and the first half was not the best. I felt like there were too many chances for both teams where they didn't really capitalize on it. But second half, Nottingham was not, like, we have to be honest, Nottingham was a bit lucky with the goal, and sometimes that's the name of the game, and sometimes that's enough. But Nottingham was a little bit lucky with the goal, and I also think a really important thing with the game is Van Dijk, all his chances that he missed. I think if he had scored on all his chances, Liverpool would have won. So like I think this was a match Liverpool should have won easily, but they didn't, and Nottingham was just more lucky and maybe a little bit more clinical for that game, and that's how it is sometimes.
Yeah. The problem is, though, that Liverpool shouldn't be relying on Virgil van Dijk to score goals. Virgil van Dijk is your centre half. You should not be relying on him to score your goals. Your Salahs, your Nunez's, your players like that should be the ones that are scoring the goals, not Virgil van Dijk. And I mean, he did miss a very good chance at the end where but Dean Henderson was very good in the goal as well. You have to give him credit for that. He pulled off some really good saves at times, especially at the end from Virgil van Dijk somehow. Though we do have to mention Nottingham Forest had a chance of their own at the end. Brennan Johnson missed an open goal somehow. That was kind of crazy, but they had their chances. The problem is Liverpool are in trouble at the moment. I don't know how they're going to get out of it.
I don't think they're in trouble at all. I think that's a very long season still. Yes, we're not playing the games that we played last season as flashy and as clinical as last season, but it's still a long season. There's teams that's doing worse than Liverpool. So saying that they're in trouble, I mean, I don't agree with that. Eighth place on the log. I mean, anything can happen still. And any team can drop points. We've seen how congested the table is. So saying they're in trouble, look at West Ham, where they were a couple of weeks ago. They are currently in 10th place. So, no, not in trouble at all. Yes, we should have won the game. And had Gomez not made that foul, maybe they wouldn't have had their chance. But, woulda, shoulda, coulda. We had to move on. Just
But
as
if you look
easy
at
as
the
that.
table, Liverpool are so far off Arsenal. Like looking at the table now.
Yes, I get that people are saying, yes, Liverpool is not winning the title. But, I mean,
Like
yes,
Liverpool are
we
currently
get
12 points behind Arsenal. That for a club of Liverpool's stature and given where they were last year.
We were 14 points behind Manchester City last season also, and we still almost won the lead by 1 point. And that was in January.
Yeah.
I think
anything can still happen.
I think it's fair to say, like, I will not call it being in trouble or anything, but I think it's fair to say that Liverpool is not in the best state of mind right now. But like it is a long season and a lot of stuff can happen. And I don't think Liverpool is winning the trophy, but I think Champions League is still like coming into Champions League top 4. I think that's still pretty possible. I
Point
don't
of
know.
the matter is also like Arsenal is on top right now, just like Chelsea was at the beginning of last season, on top for the first couple of weeks, and then where they started slipping, and you can see there's teams that can hold Arsenal. So anything can still happen.
But I will say that sure everything can happen, but I will say that Liverpool as they are playing right now, it's not good enough to win. I think if they start getting better and which I think they will, then it's possible. But how they're playing right now, I don't see them being a big threat. And also quickly with Nottingham, with what you said, Harry, with the defensive and the keeper. I think that's a really, really interesting thing because on scoring goals, Nottingham is 19 in the table, but on
20th.
On clean sheets they have scored 3. No, they have had 3 clean sheets, and the best team has had 5 clean sheets. So that just says how great their keeper is, and Henderson is really doing a great job.
I think Nottingham Forest, they just need to gel a little bit. I think we talked about that previously. Anyway, we'll move on to the next game, which we'll move on to the 3:00 kickoffs, and the big one there was Manchester City 3, Brighton 1. Warren, I'll come back to you. Your thoughts on this?
Yes, obviously Manchester City. So excuse me, Manchester City had a point to prove in this game after the shocking loss against Liverpool the previous game week, but they had a week off. They didn't play, so everybody expected Man City to come in and just give Brighton just like a hard time. And I expected more goals actually. But my prediction was right on 3-1 in the prediction. So Haaland once again, getting a brace. Are we shocked even? Not. And I think Kevin De Bruyne got the other goal. Happy for him that it wasn't just assist because he's known as the guy that assists this season a lot. He's got the most assists this season, but happy to see him amongst the goals again. Yes, and Trossard, what a screamer! Oh my goodness! At the end, we saw that one coming, not me. But it was too little, too late for Brighton. It was a standard afternoon for Manchester City. Let's just face it. They had a point to prove. They came in guns blazing. They got the job done. Got the 3 points. But I'm worried about City because they're conceding a lot of. They're not keeping their clean sheets, and that's worrisome.
Yeah, the defense is a big issue at the moment. Andreas, what's your thoughts on the game?
Yeah. I think the crazy thing with this match was that when Trossard scored, I was like, okay, this is going to be goal of the season. And then Kevin De Bruyne scored later, and I was like, okay,
yes.
This is the goal of the season. But what's really interesting for me with this match is the fact that Brighton had most possession, 51% possession, and that's not a lot, but when you're playing against City, that is a lot. And so that's to me the most crazy thing with this match. But like we have said for a long time with Brighton now, it doesn't matter how much possession they have because they're not scoring the goals. Trossard scored an amazing goal, and he was honestly the only real threat to City when it comes to offense in this match. And that makes sense. He is one of their stars, but it's worrying how much possession Brighton have without making it into goals. And yeah, so that's worrying for me. But I think it's really time for Brighton to play the formation that the manager wants, which is 4-2-3-1, because he's known for that formation, and I think it's time trying something new. But at the end of the day, City is City, and like Haaland and Kevin De Bruyne, the top goal scorer and the top assist maker in the season. That like there's not a lot to do with it. But when it comes to the defense, I'm worried for City as well because it's happening too much. So defense is something they really have to worry about. But like again, Kevin De Bruyne and Haaland, and when you then play Brighton, who is not known for scoring goals at the moment, then you're going to win.
Yeah, and I think the problem is at the moment they are missing Kyle Walker. But if you score enough goals,
it doesn't matter.
Then the defense doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I do think they do make. I think Pep does make strange choices in defense. He likes to play Nathan Ake. He likes to play Akanji. And he doesn't necessarily give the likes of John Stones or Diaz a run, or Laporte, like guys who have proven themselves as title winners for Man City in the past, which is strange. But yeah, and I mean, Brighton are also struggling at the moment. They have kind of gone a little bit downhill the last few weeks. They were doing so well at one point, and then gone off the radar a little bit. But that's
it's kind of interesting because the new manager hasn't really gotten a win per se. Got a draw against Liverpool, but I mean, hasn't been, a successful game week for them where they claimed all 3 points. And I think I agree with Andreas, who said a couple of podcasts ago that this manager wants to honor Graham Potter and he wants to play the way Graham Potter wants to build this team, and he needs to start embedding himself, into this team and play his own thing. And that's when they're going to start seeing different results, better results, I guess.
Yeah. We'll move on to the other 3 o'clock kickoff. A little bit of a shock in this one as well. Everton 3-0 Palace. I don't think many people saw that coming because Everton have struggled to score goals this season. Andreas?
Yeah. This was really what Everton needed. Like goals is really what they have been a problem for them. And I know Lampard from Chelsea, and I know that he wants to play offensive. He is much better at the offensive style of football than he is on the defensive style. So, but the problem just is that the players have not been scoring the goals. And then it's really a big problem when you have the manager that loves the offensive game, but the players are not scoring the goals. Then that's a problem. So this is really what he needed, and like if this can continue, that will be amazing for Everton because this is really what they needed. Their defense is good; they have a good defense, but they really lack the goals, and so really great for them. I think with Palace, I think also it's I think their offensive players are too inconsistent. Like we talked about Zaha last week. Oh, okay, Zaha is back now. It's going to be amazing. And now he flops again, so to speak.
And he got a yellow card as well.
Yeah, it's like it's really inconsistent when it comes to that. And yeah, I think Palace have a good defense, but like that doesn't really matter when your offensive players are not really doing their best. But I think no matter what you say with Palace in this game, I think at the end of the day, this is all about Everton, and this is all about Everton finding what they needed. Yeah.
Fair enough, Warren.
Yes, I think the difference maker in this game was Dominic Calvert-Lewin. That came back. He started the game. And I think that was really good because that's the key player that they missed even last season. He went out on injury and they were just never were the same again. I was shocked that Palace to drop the ball, honestly, but Palace has become this hit and miss team. They do well one week, the other week they kind of flop, and I think away from home they don't do so well really, but glad for Everton, and it was three different people that scored. It was Dominic, it was Anthony Gordon, and it was Mikalenko that scored the goal, and that was a shocker. One of the defenders scoring a goal, but it just shows, and hopefully this is something good, and this is exactly what they needed. I think besides Dominic, the one player that's really grounding that team is Alex Iwobi. He's getting the assists in. He's driving the ball forward to allow those chances. He's a good runner as well. If you see him on the pitch, he's everywhere. He's everywhere. Yeah, happy for Everton, and hopefully this is a sign of good things to come for them.
I think also quickly with Everton, I think it's interesting to remember that Villa's manager just got sacked, and I think Lampard kind of looked at that and was like, I'm not going to be the next one, so I need to step up. I think like I think there's a little bit of that, because it is interesting that it's now that they finally start scoring goals.
Mm-hmm.
I think the problem is for Palace, they don't have any players apart from Zaha. They've no one really that stands out that's going to score goals, that's going to create anything.
Eze, I think
they miss Conor Gallagher back.
Zaha and Eze are the two people that's now amongst the goals there for Palace. And I feel like where's Jordan Ayew and where's Mateta, where's those people that was amongst the goals last season? You don't hear from them anymore. And I think they're becoming too reliant on Zaha, I feel like, in the offense.
Yeah. We'll move on to the 5:30 game, which is of interest to myself and Andreas here, of course. Manchester United, Chelsea won. This was a hugely tactical battle. I know Abu isn't here to talk about the tactics, so I will do that quickly. I'll have a quick chat about that. The team selection for Graham Potter was very odd. Two left backs. He's put Cucurella in at left back, which was at left centre back even, which was a strange one. And then he played Chilwell as left wing back. It was a very tactical battle. Chelsea started out with two in midfield with a 3-4-3, and United had their usual 4-2-3-1. And the three United men kind of ran Chelsea ragged, really, in the midfield. They were overrun a little bit in the first half. Then Graham Potter kind of changed things a little bit. He brought on Mateo Kovacic to kind of even things out a little bit, which kind of changed things again, and take control. Then Ten Hag kind of realised that he needed to make more changes, and he took off Sancho, brought in Fred to try to get control back in the midfield. And so I think it was a draw kind of seems the fair result, Andreas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree. I think for the first 35 minutes, United was completely dominant, and like they really were. Like midfield, they had complete control, and I think Potter made a weird starting lineup, but no matter what, it was really good of United. They really saw Chelsea's flaws and completely used them. I think I feel like United could have won this match if they scored with all the chances that they have in the first 35 minutes. So, and I think a lot of that comes down to Rashford, because he had a lot of chances that he didn't score on. But yeah, after the 35 minutes, Potter saw it didn't work and decided to get Kovacic in to make the midfield stronger, and that was completely what we needed. Our midfield was much more controlled, and I think we had the upper hand from there going forward. But I think with both teams, when it comes to scoring goals and being offensive, I think both teams kind of lacked. Like Eriksen, Mount, Aubameyang, Sterling, all these great players, they didn't really. It was not really their best match when it comes to being offensive. So I think 1-1 was a really fair result, and a really tactical match, which was what I talked about last week. That I really looked forward to this, because I think these two managers can be some of the best managers in the world in a few years.
Warren, as a neutral point of view, what was your?
I think it was an interesting game. It was really entertaining, even though there was like minimal goals. But this is the fixture that has the most draws in the history of Premier League. So I think it's like 50 or one. I can't remember the right number, but they said on the tally, this is the fixture that has the most draws out of any fixture. So going into it, I did expect it to go to a draw. I even predicted 2-2, I think, in the prediction thing. I think Man United could have won. They could have edged Chelsea out at the end. I think the mistake by McTominay at the end really did them in. I think when Casemiro scored, he kind of like gave him like a boost again. But I feel like he just came on. McTominay just came on, and then that mistake happened at the end. He was kind of like wrestling Amanda Broja around in the penalty box, and obviously it's a penalty. Jorginho scores. So I think out of the two teams, I would have given Manchester United the edge, because they just seemed like the more dominant team during the game. But they could have easily gotten 3 points had it not been for their own players. So sometimes I feel like Manchester United's players are their own worst enemy, because they make stupid mistakes like that, but then get unnecessary yellow cards. But if I looked at the game, I think Manchester United deserved to win, but because of the mistakes, I mean, I think 1 point was ideal.
Yeah, I feel United's problem is that they're just not clinical enough. Like you saw last week against Spurs, they had a million chances but couldn't take them, and the 2 goals they did score were flukes. And I feel like this week as well, we had the chances. Rashford in particular seems to be struggling with his finishing, but I think that doesn't take away from the performance of Kepa in goal, who did very well. I mean, he's revitalized under Graham Potter for whatever reason. But I do feel like United just aren't clinical enough at times, especially against big sides and against sides that are going to be hard to break down. That is going to cost them, I feel. I feel like it is going to be an issue, and that's going to be the difference between getting top 4 and not getting top 4 at the end of the season.
The same argument could be made for Chelsea. I feel like Chelsea also, like, there's certain games where they really excel, but then there's majority of the games where, it's almost like this stagnant atmosphere when they play, and it's almost like they're struggling to get, onto the front foot, because Chelsea is the type of team that you expect to be, scoring those goals early, finishing off the goal. I get they're playing against Manchester United, but if you look at the fixtures of that they've had, sometimes I just feel like, I know Kepa was doing great and everything like that, but I mean, where's Sterling and Mount was great last week, but then this week, so it's almost like it's the two teams are the same, but also different in a lot of ways.
Yeah, no, I get you.
I think also quickly with Chelsea, I think I talked about the formation stuff, and I think that was a mistake by Potter. But at the same time, I really have to give him credit for seeing that mistake, and already after 35 minutes being like, okay, this is not good enough. We need to do something else. And if he hadn't done that, we would have lost easily. So as much as I think it was a weird lineup to begin with, I have to give him credit for seeing that mistake and change it. And also quickly to the thing about with where is Mount and Aubameyang and Sterling and all of those. We are 9th right now in scoring goals, and that's not good enough, clearly. So yeah, I completely agree. I think we are doing a really good job right now, and he has not lost a game at all, Potter, for us so far. So that's good. But like, I get United, that's fair, but I think the draw against Brentford, that's not good enough. But again, like it's only these 2 games. If he goes out and wins tonight and win the next couple of games in Premier League, I will be completely fine. But it's 2 draws in a row now, and we need to be a little bit careful with that. But yeah.
The one thing I will say is that I thought United could have gone on and tried to get the win in the end. Once Casemiro scored, he went and celebrated for a whole minute. Like that time you can use to just grab the ball from the back of the net and go and try
to get another one in this, but the clock is ticking.
I think United, towards the end, it felt like they were just playing for a draw. All the attacking players were off, like to Sancho, like to Rashford. I think they were trying to play for a draw in the end, and I feel like Ten Hag would have been happy with a draw.
Harry, remember, he's a former Real Madrid player. He's not used to winning stuff. Like this is new for him. So.
I think it was because Casemiro, that was his first goal. This was his first goal for United, and he was so happy to come to United. I mean, he wanted to be at United. Didn't want to hear about any other team. He wanted to be at Manchester United. So getting that goal, I think he's been craving that goal for matches for ages now. Seeing Anthony coming after him and getting 3 goals in, it was almost like he wanted this goal, and then when he went in, he celebrated like they won the World Cup, and I was like, "What in the world is happening?"
Talking of Anthony, he missed an absolute sitter. I felt in the first half.
Oh my goodness! I just think he got so excited and he got so wrapped up in the moment that he got that goal that it was for United getting that equalizer. It was like, okay, fine, we're happy. We get. So I agree with you. I think they were happy that they didn't lose 3 points and that they got the 1 point, and that was okay. That was enough for them. Well, like as long as we don't lose, as long as we get a point, it's okay.
Yeah. The big thing I thought as well, United didn't give up. They kept going throughout, even when they were down.
Definitely.
They didn't give up and kept going. And that's a big credit to them that that penalty could have thrown them and could have destabilized them, but they kept going to the very end.
And I think that comes completely down to Ten Hag. I think it's what he has been doing in the locker room, where like the last manager, I keep forgetting his name, but every time like when they played. Yeah, you could just see that they were like, they didn't even can away. Like I know it sounds crazy, but it really was like, if the other team scored, they were just like, okay, we have already lost. But with Ten Hag, you can really see like he's really been able to do something.
Fair enough. We'll move on to the Sunday games, and Aston Villa's first game without Steven Gerrard saw them get a 4-0 win against Brentford, which was again another shock. I don't think anyone expected that. Considering
it was a weird week.
Yeah. Andreas, do you have any thoughts on this quickly?
I think we talked about
this one.
we talked about it. We talked about it last week with Gerrard, and I think like I know it's just one game. I know that, but I think this kind of says that it was the best move. I know every time a manager gets fired, the team wants to show that we are still a great team and all this kind of stuff. I get that, but I think this kind of shows me that it was the best move to sack him. And like Brentford is a good team, but I also feel like Brentford is making too many of these. I don't think this is the first time where they lose.
That was not the first time.
Exactly. So that's worrying for Brentford. But I in general, I still think Brentford will have a great season. But really good start for Villa, and if I'm not mistaken, they just got a new manager in Unai Emery, and like what a signing. That's impressive, because I know Villa is historically a great team and all this kind of stuff, but like without sounding too mean, he is too good to Villa right now. So that's going to be really interesting, and I wonder what in the world they did to get him, because that's impressive. And I saw we have this chat where I don't remember who sent it, but someone sent that Villa wanted him, but Villarreal was kind of confident or hoped that they were able to keep him, like last year when Newcastle wanted him, and then an hour later it just comes out it's official, Unai Emery is in Villa. So I assume Villarreal is not the happiest team in the world right now. But yeah, like this is going to be interesting. I think he can make Villa a really, really good team. So
Yeah.
Warren?
Yes, quickly. It's gonna be interesting. They'll still be without him for this coming game week. But Villa's facing Newcastle next, so that's gonna be. I think that's gonna be the test because Brentford has been one of those seesaw teams now this season where they do well and then they drop the ball, and I think it's their defense. The keeper isn't as great as it was last season. I'm just being honest. David Raya. Happy for Villa. I think they got their noses in front like within the first 10 minutes. And I think they had a point to prove, but I think the proof is going to be in the pudding. And this next match against Villa, for the next match against Newcastle is going to be the true test for them because Newcastle is not to be underestimated at all. And we'll still get to that. But yeah, and I don't know what's happening with Brentford, but they're playing Wolves next, so I foresee that to be a walk in the park for them. So let's see what happens. I really don't have a lot to say. I love Steven Gerrard, but to say maybe it was the right move, maybe just Brentford wasn't at their best on the weekend, and that's why they got a great score. There's a lot of factors to consider here. So we'll see what happens next week, and then if they get another get to trash Newcastle, then I'll say yes, the best move was to fire Gerrard. But if they have a little slope again, then maybe the problem is with the team and not the management.
Yeah. I think it's a strange choice actually for Emery to go to Aston Villa of all sides, considering he turned down Newcastle a year ago. Like, look at Newcastle now. Newcastle are two completely different worlds. Like Newcastle were a team on the rise, team putting in money. They had Saudi backers. They were going places. Like that's just I don't get it, but
yeah, and Villarreal they are. I think Villarreal is playing Conference or Europa or something like that, if I'm not completely mistaken. So definitely a step down, if you can say it like that. But I have a question for you guys. Do you think, like the win against Brentford, how much do you think that the interim manager was a part of that win for Villa? And do you think?
I think a new manager always gives us a team boost. Like you always see it. As soon as a manager is sacked, they go and win the next weekend. It's a psychological thing. It's among the players that players just give up on a manager, and then as soon as manager goes, suddenly.
Yeah, so look at Bournemouth.
The manager is a big part of it.
I think he had a part in it. I think he had a hand in it. Obviously, he used the formation. He put the players in that he thought was going to do the best against him. And I feel like it's a double-edged story here. It could be that Brentford had just an off day, and it was not their day, and Villa exploited that, and they saw, openings for them. But at the end of the day, like I said, we'll see what happens next week. If next week they can give Newcastle a run for their money, I will say yes, the interim manager is the key.
Yeah, I think he can still be the key. I feel like if you lose to Newcastle, that's not bad at all. But I like you can lose to Newcastle and still be a great team. But I get what you're saying, Ron.
By the way, Chelsea just scored.
Oh, they did indeed. Yeah, very strange. That's only good for Chelsea. We'll come back to that later.
Just talking about scoring goals, and now they score. Let's go.
We'll get some quick thoughts on Wolves Leicester. Leicester again can just be very inconsistent, but then again it was against Wolves. How much we can't really read much into this, can we? Quick thoughts, guys. Warren.
Yes, Leicester is becoming one of those teams that I actually want to go and watch because, but then it's also like it's hit and miss, like you said, it's seesaw. It's many teams this season. I don't know what's happening, but Leicester was just in full force, and again it was against Wolves. Jamie Vardy got his goal back, got a goal in, and he looked like he dragged that Red Bull, and he came on, and he was just like a different player. Where was he all season? And opposite Madison got a goal in, Tielemans got a goal in, Crackers Harvey Barnes. So I think they're getting the rhythm, another clean sheet. Leicester's on the rise. They're out of the relegation zone. I'm worried about Wolves. I've been saying it since the beginning. If Wolves doesn't change, even the signing of Costa, it's not helping them. If they really need their strikers back, they need Neto back, they need Jimenez back to get them amongst the goals. They need to score more goals because you can be how great offensively, but like if your offense is not there, then you're not gonna get ahead in the relegation zone for like the majority of the first part of the season. So I'm worried for Wolves. I think they're gonna be one of the teams that's going to be in that battle for the rest of the season if they don't change their ways. Something needs to give.
Yeah, completely agree. Like quickly with possession, Wolves had 60% of possession, but it doesn't matter when
It doesn't matter.
and like I've been saying this with Costa. I really hope Costa becomes great, but it's not going good right now, and I'm thinking about switching him out from my fantasy team because it's not working. He's the one they need to make to score goals, and he has not been doing that. And with Leicester, they have the whole season they have been good in their offensive, but it has been like one or two players, and now it's 4 players that is starting to work. Vardy, Maddison, Tielemans, and I'm forgetting someone.
Maddison, Harvey Barnes.
Yeah, Tielemans, Barnes, Maddison, Vardy. Yeah, and that's all they can ask for. And defensive is starting to work. Their goalkeeper is starting to find his way into the team, and then so that's really good for Leicester.
Fair enough. We'll move on. Just a quick thing, just to go back over what Warren said. Vardy has had a very poor season, so it's good to see him back on the score sheet.
And an assist as well for him.
Yeah. Leeds 2, Fulham 3. Fulham continue their rise up the table and still around mid-table. Any quick thoughts on this, guys? Warren?
Yes, I'm not surprised at Fulham. I mean, I was actually happy for my fantasy team because my Fulham people are delivering. Mitrovic, obviously, the goals again. Who is surprised? And Andreas Pereira, 2 assists. He's just one of the amazing players. Leeds did give them a run for their money, and let's not take away anything from Leeds. But I don't know. I think that they had a great start to the season after that win against Chelsea, and then it just went downhill again. And they at the bottom of they're like in the bottom half right now, and it's looking like same old with Leeds. So I don't know if it's the manager. I don't know what's happening with the players. If they're missing Rafinha and Phillips and all those people. But Bamford has been atrocious this season. I don't know what's happening there. So yeah, happy for Fulham. Fulham was the better team at the end of the day, and they deserved the win.
Yeah, absolutely. And Fulham deserve it. I think Leeds is just like I've said it many times. They are just really inconsistent, and the most inconsistent team in Premier League, if you ask me. Rodrigo, I remember like a month ago or something in fantasy, he was like one of the best midfielders in the entire league, and now he's finally got a goal again. But Rodrigo has not been looking the best for a while now either. And that's just the entire Leeds team. It's very inconsistent, and that's what this match is as well. And with Fulham, like Mitrovic is the star, no doubt about that, and he keeps scoring goals. But I really think it's time to also look at Fulham is starting to have these other players that's starting to shine. Willian scored a goal in Premier League. That's amazing to see him back again. Doing great, and Andreas Pereira as well doing a great job. So yeah, Mitrovic is their star, but they are really there's a lot of other players on the team that's really starting to work.
Yeah,
so, grateful.
I know that Pereira used to be Manchester United player. I know that he's definitely someone. I don't know if he's on loan or not. Maybe someone can confirm that.
But they have a great team, like Willian, Pereira, like Fulham is a much stronger team than you actually think.
They will go to the final early game on Sunday. For some reason, there was 1 million games on Sunday, which is not.
Which is
typical.
weird.
Yeah. The big shock, another big shock, I think, was Southampton 1, Arsenal 1. We don't usually expect that to happen. Quick,
Oh, yeah.
you have any thoughts? Andreas, we'll come to you first this time.
No matter how you change it, no matter if you say, okay, Southampton had a better day or whatever, like Arsenal should not get a tie with Southampton. I think honestly Southampton is the weakest team in Premier League right now, based on when I have seen them play. So not good for Arsenal, but like we have talked about it a lot as well with Arsenal. Can they win the league? Can all this stuff happen for them? And I think this is where you see that like they have some great players. Arteta has really started to make it work, but I don't see them at the end being consistent enough to win the league. But time will tell. But for me, this is just a good the United game as well. This is a good example of Arsenal not always being too consistent when it comes down to it. But like time will tell for sure.
Yeah. Arsenal have played a lot of the bottom teams so far. They have really yet to have a proper test, and I feel like this is one of those games that like Arsenal will kind of struggle at times maybe to break down teams that sit back and are hard to play against, like Southampton, just because they're just not used to it. And I think that's going to become a big issue now when they come into to Christmas and they have to face a run of games against the likes of Man City, teams around them. I don't think they've really played anyone particularly major yet. Warren, any thoughts?
Yeah, shocked at Arsenal. I expected them to win, but Southampton, another one of those teams where you never know what you're gonna get until you play them that day. And whether it was that Southampton was just more on it than Arsenal, and that they basically just dropped the ball. I don't know what happened with him, but it just proves that Arsenal isn't invincible, and to win the league, you can't be dropping too much points, and it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, because like Harry said, they haven't really faced tough teams except for Spurs and maybe Liverpool, but they still need to, and United, and they lost against United, and they still need to face Chelsea, they still need to face Man City, Newcastle. So it's going to be interesting to see how if they can keep that flame at the top burning. Because if they don't, then obviously City is going to overtake them, and it's going to be same old, and you know. So yeah, I was so happy for Southampton that they have the fighting spirit and they got a goal in and managed to claim a point from Arsenal. That says a lot. They got the point from the top team of the league. So yeah, happy with him. And hopefully Arsenal can bounce back from this, and this doesn't result in a downward spiral for them.
Yeah. The late game on Thursday was Tottenham 1, Newcastle 2. I was the only one in our group who predicted this, a Newcastle win. I know a lot of people kind of thought it would either be a draw or a Spurs win. Why didn't you guys, curious just to your thoughts on the game first of all, but also why you didn't think Newcastle would be able to do it?
No, it wasn't about. I think for me it was just I was told I actually wanted to predict that Newcastle was going to win, but I was just so torn because it was like they're both two great teams, and I just couldn't. I was actually struggling with my fantasy league also to who to put in, who not to put in, because I have so many Newcastle people, and I made the mistake of putting Wilson on the bench, and it was my mistake. I lost out on points there. So it was just one of those decisions. It's one of those games that you just couldn't call for me. For me personally, I couldn't call who was going to come out as the victor. It could have gone either way. So I just went with the neutral thing and went with the draw. Am I shocked that they won? Well, am I happy that Newcastle won? Yes, I am happy that they won. I'm not a big Spurs fan, but I don't know. I don't know why. Something just puts me off about them. But happy that they won, and I feel like Spurs needs to be humbled a little bit. They need to just be humbled a little bit, and yeah. I don't really have. I'm happy that Miguel Almiron. I mean, I don't know what that guy can do. What else better that guy can do? He scores in every match. Wilson is back in amongst the goals. And they're doing it without Saint Maximum, and that says a lot.
And Alexander Isaac as well.
Excuse me?
And Alexander Isaac as well.
Yeah, they're doing it without him. It's like, I forgot about Isaac. I forgot about him.
He's the record signing.
He played one game and he's out. But anyway, yeah, so happy for Newcastle, and I actually want them in the top 4. I don't know why. I would do. If Liverpool can't get it, I want Newcastle to get it.
Andreas?
Yeah, I think I predicted 2-2 in
yeah, same.
And like I was not shocked about Newcastle winning. I could actually see it, but I think we have to be honest and say that like, I know Spurs had a bad match against United. I get that, but like, it's Spurs, and I know Son has not been the best. I know all these players have been a little bit inconsistent, but it's still Spurs, and like Son and Kane, they can have a whole year where they have a terrible season, and then they come in and it just clicks. And Kane scored here, so that just shows that even when they are in a bad mood, Kane can still score goals against amazing teams like Newcastle. So I thought it would be a draw, because I think both teams are doing really well. But I think when it comes down to it, I think right now Spurs is too dependent on Kane when it comes to scoring goals. And Newcastle have a really great defensive and players that can score goals. And I think like they have Wilson and Elmer One. Like, I remember the last couple of seasons, I was like, Elmer One, I didn't even want to think about him in fantasy, because he was never like, it was so inconsistent. But now he's just completely become this new player that's doing amazingly. So I'm thinking about getting him in fantasy. But yeah, Newcastle, like, really great. And I think in terms of offensive, I think Spurs and Newcastle in general are on kind of the same level. But when it comes to defensive, Newcastle is much stronger than Spurs is. Spurs have an okay defense, but it's not good enough.
It's not good enough, no.
It's not good enough to shut down Wilson and Elmer One and all these great players. So like, Newcastle,
like Eric Dyer, Davinson Sanchez, Emerson Royal, they're not good enough. They're not good enough.
And that's really their problem, because they have Kane, they have Son, they have Højbjerg, they have this good midfield and good offensive, but the defense is just not good enough.
And that's the problem when it comes to playing the big teams and teams around them that, like Newcastle, like United, that will hurt them because of that awful defense.
And that's where I think Newcastle is great offensive, good midfield, good defense. They have a more compact team, where Spurs is
more balanced,
offensive and midfield, and that's hurting them when they are playing a compact team like Newcastle.
Yeah.
Just one thing. I think that I just think that they are just one quick thing. With Richarlison out now and Kulusevski is out now, I think Spurs is going to struggle. Yeah. Because they are way too dependent on Kane, and Son hasn't been in form, and I think that's one of the big red flags for me with Spurs right now.
Yeah, and the thing is with Spurs, they've lost 2 games now in a row. I think I shared a meme yesterday in the now group of the door with the top 4 on it, and Spurs holding the door open, and
allowing all the teams to come in.
Spurs are struggling against teams around them.
I will say with Spurs, I agree that they have to be worried, but I will say, like, it's against United and Newcastle. It's 2 of the best teams in the entire world right now. So it's going to be interesting when they're playing smaller teams. But yeah, it definitely makes sense being a bit worried for Spurs.
And the final game of the weekend then is West Ham 2-0 against Bournemouth. West Ham seem revitalised. They're up to 10th in the table now. Won 3 of their last 5 games. Something is starting to click at the Olympic Stadium. I don't know what it is, but something is starting to click. Warren?
Yeah, I watched the game. I'm surprised Bournemouth started to slip again. I do feel some of the decisions that were made during the game by the ref was a bit inconsistent, but we're not going to get into that. West Ham was the better team. I feel like after I watched the game, that most possession, that the more attempts. But Bournemouth only had like 3 attempts or 4 and 2 shots on target. And after losing Solanke and the goalkeeper Neto, I think that really hurt Bournemouth. And Kurt Zuma got the goal in, and then obviously the penalty at the in the second half when Ben Rama scored. Unfortunately for Bowen owners in the FPL, he was taken off, so no points for him. But I think West Ham is starting to climb a little bit up, and now they're in the top. I think they're going to become the team to be careful of. So teams that haven't faced West Ham yet, watch out, because they're slowly getting out of their funk, and if they can keep this up, I mean, they could be playing Europe again. Who knows?
Yeah, Andreas.
The crazy thing with this match, and that's honestly what's so great about football, because if this had happened in any other season, we would have been like, oh yeah, of course, it's West Ham. Of course they are winning against Bournemouth. We would probably have been talking about this not being big enough because West Ham is clearly a better team. But this season, it's crazy because West Ham have been this bad. And that's so great about football that like, it's about right now, right here now, and this is just a great result for them and exactly what they needed. I have the stats here. They had 54% of the possession, West Ham, 4 shots on target and 20 shots
in total,
where Bournemouth only had 4 shots and 3 on target. So just shows that West Ham is the dominant team in any kind of stat. And West Ham is really going up there. And with Bournemouth, I think they were doing really good, but it's starting to become a little bit. It's not the best right now, but they're still doing good, and I don't think they will end up in top 10, but I think they will be right outside of top 10.
Fair enough. We will quickly have a look at the Champions League fixtures, since we're making good time. The big games, we'll talk about Salzburg against Chelsea, and that is currently still 1-0. It's coming up to half-time there. It is still Chelsea 1, Salzburg 0. Andreas, what's your thoughts on this? Obviously, it's a big game for Chelsea to win. If they win, they go through to the last 16.
Yeah, we need to win, and I think it's difficult because like I think we should be ahead with more. I think we as a team in general should be better. Salzburg is great as well, I know that, but I wanted this to be 2-0 at this point, to be honest. But like Salzburg is a good team, and it is also how there was a chance there, sorry, but it's kind of how we play. Like we Potter he has been good with the offensive, but like how many 3 or 4 matches where we scored 3 goals in a row almost, and without conceding any, and now the last couple of games we have not scored any goals. One last week, but that's about it. So it's like it's difficult to say. I think we should win this, and I think we do, but it like 0-0 against Brentford, 1-1 against United. I'm starting to become a little worried, but I still think we are strong enough to win this. And
take the win when you can get them, Andreas.
Exactly.
1-0 is just as good as 2-0. A win is a win. You need to win. Warren, any thoughts on this game?
Yes, I think it's a must win for Chelsea. It's a must win. The other game is a must win for Copenhagen, for the longevity in the competition. Mateo Kovacic scored the goal for Chelsea. So hopefully they can hang on. I haven't really followed Salzburg this season, so I'm not really sure how well they're doing. But I do know Chelsea is facing, I think, Zagreb next week,
Yes.
and they lost the first match against them. So this is a
Under
this is a
Tuchel.
this is a
Under Tuchel.
this is a must win for Chelsea. So hopefully they can hang on. But like we know in soccer, in football,
Don't
1-0
call it
doesn't.
soccer. Don't do that again, Rowan.
In
That's not
football, oh, excuse me, in
It's
Champions
okay.
League or Premier League, whatever you play, 1-0 doesn't mean anything. So I think Chelsea must just protect that and make sure that they don't drop the ball, because I don't even think a draw is good enough for Chelsea for this one.
Let me have a look at the table.
I'm not really sure. I haven't really followed Chelsea's games.
A draw is okay, I think. No,
we need to win to be
be guaranteed last 16.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it goes down to the final game against Dynamo Zagreb, which they
And you
should
don't want that.
win. They should realistically beat Dynamo Zagreb, but it's Chelsea. So.
I think with both Zagreb and Salzburg, it's important to remember both teams are great. I know that, but it's important to remember that it was under Tuchel. I think that is a big thing to remember. But like, everything can happen, and if we end up not winning this and end up losing to Zagreb, that would be terrible.
If we lose against Zagreb, Potter might also be fired.
Yeah, imagine.
That would be funny.
We are getting Gerrard then. Can you imagine? We are signing Gerrard as our next manager.
Oh my god, that would be terrible.
There's a mouth-watering tie tonight. Borussia
There's a lot of this.
Borussia Dortmund versus Manchester City. Warren?
Yes, I watched the last leg where they played, and Jude Bellingham got a goal. And this was the goal. This was the game where John Stones got that screamer in after half time, I think. And then obviously Haaland got a goal in as well. But so it's going to be interesting. It wasn't that flashy game. It wasn't the spectacle that Manchester City didn't dominate the game. I think Dortmund actually dominated the game and just dropped the ball at the end. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can keep. If there's a team that can do it, I think it's Dortmund.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have City winning, but like it's going to be really close. Because
it's not going to be easy.
As you said, Warren, if any team can really do something against City, then it's Dortmund. They know Haaland better than anyone else, and know what to do with it. I know he scored last time, but it was not the amazing match that we expected from him. And I think a really important thing with this is that if Dortmund wins tonight, they will be safe in top 16. Because
and City must go to the next match too.
Yeah, Copenhagen and Sevilla will not be able to reach them. So if Dortmund, like City is already safe, but if Dortmund wins, they will be safe as well. So Dortmund has more on the line than City does. So that's going to be interesting. But I think City is winning. I think they're still.
I do expect Pep to make a few changes tonight, to be honest, especially with the fact that it is a game that they are already through. So we will have to wait.
And they're playing Saturday. They're playing the early match. So
yeah, exactly. So they will want to.
So I don't expect Haaland to be on for the most of the game.
Yeah. Who are they even playing actually on the weekend? But
they're playing Leicester.
Leicester. Okay. Well, I won't worry too much about that. Another mouth-watering tie tomorrow in Barcelona-Bayern. This is a huge game for Barcelona. It's win or bust.
Definitely.
Win or bust. Simple as.
Unless Inter goes out and loses to PSN, but probably not.
I think Bayern is winning this one. I'm sorry. I think Bayern is gonna go very deep. Not just because I drew them for our groups little thing. I do believe they're one of the strongest teams next to Napoli and even Manchester City. But if I'm Barcelona, I'll go balls to the walls tomorrow, because if they lose, they're going to Europa, and that's gonna be I don't know. All those signings, signings in the transfer market window, and to play Europa. I don't know. I don't know how that's gonna go down. I don't, but I do believe Bayern is winning tomorrow, hands down.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
um,
I think with Bayern, I think it's crazy how everyone is like, oh, now they don't have Lewandowski, so no, they are not as great. I think it's crazy because it's still Bayern. Like everyone is always talking about Real Madrid with Benzema and City with Holland and all these kind of teams because they have this great striker. But Bayern has just an amazing team together. And they do it every season, and at this point it should not be a shock that they're doing amazingly, and like I think they will win. And the thing is, even if this was like if Barca wins this, then they are in top in last 16. Then I could see maybe Barca winning, but so many other stuff needs to happen. Inter has to lose to PSN, and that's clearly not happening. So I, like again, if this was Barca's, like if they win, they are in. Then I could maybe see a little chance, but like too many stuff needs to happen, and I don't think they have the mentality to beat Bayern like that.
yeah. Liverpool Ajax tomorrow as well. Liverpool obviously have a good run going in the Champions League. They haven't lost since they've won their last 3. They beat Ajax 2-1 last time, and followed that up with a couple of big wins against Rangers. But did it 2-1. It was close last time. And Liverpool are struggling big time in the Premier League. Can they pull it off and practically guarantee themselves a spot in the last 16, Warren?
I think so. I think Liverpool has to just put all the eggs in the Champions League right now, because obviously I don't think Liverpool is winning the Premier League title. So if I'm Klopp, I'm putting all my eggs in the basket. Make sure that I win all my matches for the Champions League. Do believe we can beat Ajax. I do believe it. It might be a close one again. Nunes should be available. Thiago should be available. That's a place that we missed on Saturday that weren't there. Konate will be back. So it's a stronger team. Obviously, we're suffering without Diaz and Jota, but the squad is there. We can win. I think based on the squad that we could avail, we can win. I'm not underestimating Ajax, but I do believe to ensure that we don't have to be dependent on the Napoli game, and we don't want that, we have to win. Liverpool has to win tomorrow. They have to.
Especially
A draw
given
is not even a draw, because I don't think any team wants to face Napoli.
Yeah.
Especially given how the first game against Napoli went.
No.
Yeah, I predicted 2-2 with this match. I think I predicted 2-2. I don't remember, but I predicted a draw at least. If I had to choose one team, I would choose Liverpool. But Ajax really like Liverpool. If they lose, they are still Napoli. Of course, it's better winning, clearly. But Ajax needs to win, I think, because if not, then they're
out.
And it's at home in Ajax. Ajax historically one of the biggest teams in the world, and has a really, really, really big fan base. So I think Ajax will go out really like showing we are good enough to this. So therefore, I think it's a draw. But Liverpool can win as well. Liverpool is doing really good now, and of course Liverpool should be stronger than Ajax. So yeah, I think a draw, but I could see Liverpool win.
Yeah. Tottenham against Sporting Lisbon is on tomorrow night as well. Obviously, it's a must-win game for Tottenham, who are struggling a little bit. They are currently top of their group, 7 points, but they've got Marseille and Sporting breathing down their neck, both on 6 points. So it's a big game to try and put some distance between them and the other teams. A win would guarantee Tottenham a space in the last 16, because Sporting wouldn't be able to catch them if they'd moved to 10 points ahead of the final game against Marseille. Obviously, Tottenham do not want to leave it down to the last game against Marseille. So it's a big game for them tomorrow. Andreas?
Yeah. Like I think Spurs is going to win, but But like we have talked about it for a while now, that Spurs is like it's inconsistent when it comes to these big matches. And we talked about last week, I think, with Premier League, that Spurs, when it comes head to head with the other top 6 teams, Spurs is probably the weakest of the top 6 teams when it's head to head matches, of course. And I think that's also what we kind of see with Champions League. Not that Sporting is on the same level, of course, but there's like when it comes head to head, when it's about the mentality, only 2 teams move on. I think we kind of see Spurs' flaws. But again, like it's Kane, it's Son, it's like if they really find each other, all the teams together, then they can do something amazing. So I think Spurs is winning. I think they're stronger than Sporting, but Sporting is a strong team. So anything
Sporting
can
did win the first time round, don't forget.
Yeah,
What?
they did 2-0.
Sporting did win the last time, 2 late goals.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Sporting is a really strong team, but like it's still Spurs. It's still
Spurs, but it's they lost against them the first time. It doesn't mean that. Oh yes, and remember, Spurs is without key players. They're without key players.
People have gone from losing a match 2-0 to win much bigger before. That has happened in the past. But I get what you're saying. I think it will be really, really close.
I kind of want Sporting to win.
Well, I think it will be really close. But I think Spurs is winning. I think they are still the strongest.
It's gonna
team.
be close.
But like, anything can happen.
Yeah. Warren, quick thoughts?
I want Sporting to win. Jota is back. I want them to win. Let's just put it in the universe now. Sporting is winning, even though I didn't predict that. I want them to win. I just want Spurs to be knocked down a peg. I don't know why, but like Harry said, must win for Spurs to just put some distance between them and the people that's behind them. But if Sporting can pull out a win here tomorrow, then should be kind of interesting there. They should go to the last match, and that should be really, really, really interesting.
And what an interesting group as well. I think it's the closest group of all 8 groups, if I'm not mistaken, because every team has a chance of
going through.
Yeah. We'll talk about the Europa League quickly. Manchester United at home to Sheriff. This should be a comfortable win.
Sheriff is winning. Let's go.
Oh my goodness.
Our friend Hector.
Yeah.
Quick thoughts, Andreas?
I really want Sheriff to win 10-0 or something. Not because it's United, but because it's Sheriff. Like, that team deserves the world. But United is winning. United is doing really, really good right now, and United has to be a really, really big contender to win the entire tournament. Honestly.
Yep.
I would love to see a final between Barcelona and United. That would be awesome if Barcelona goes down, of course.
Yeah. Warren, quick thoughts?
Yeah, I think I don't have much to say. I think Manchester United is winning that match. I think they have been really strong in the Europa League, so I expect them to win. But if they don't, I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna say. But like, I expect Manchester United should win this game.
Yeah.
It is a Sheriff team that has beaten Real Madrid in the past. We just have to.
Yeah, I'm saying I expect them to win, but when it's going to happen, I hope for this sake it does. But if it doesn't, then I don't know.
United just need a draw to be guaranteed of a place in the last 16. Or I don't think
last
32 in it with the Europa League, but the next stage.
Let me put it this way: the United team that I've seen now is strong enough to beat them because they've played well. Even though they park the bus sometimes and they make some sloppy mistakes and they're not clinical at the front, they get the job done. When they need to get the job done, they get the job done. So that's why I believe they will win. But anything can happen.
Yeah, we did see that against Omonia a couple of weeks ago where they nearly slipped up. But the thing with United is they go to the very, very, very end. They do not give up anymore. They they go to the end. That mentality Fergie instilled back in the day.
Yeah, this is not the United of last season. So this is the completely different United. So I do expect them to go out there, give it their all, and get the win or at least a draw.
Yeah, a win would set up a final weekend date with Real Sociedad for top spot. But yeah,
sure.
We'll quickly go on to the last fixture. Arsenal against PSV rematch. They won pretty comfortably last week. I don't think we'll expect much less this week.
Yeah, same.
Especially coming off that loss from the weekend. Well, not the loss, but the draw.
Yeah, that will make things complicated, and they will make changes as well, you'd imagine.
That actually is a really good point. Like if you can get a draw with Southampton, then PSV can beat you.
Yeah,
and so that is an important. But like it's still
they won with one goal last time, so it wasn't like it wasn't like 4-0 or 3-1 or so it was like one goal, it was enough. But
Arsenal are safe, by the way, just to say they have.
Okay.
They are safe in top.
It doesn't matter.
Like honestly, with all these, like when I first thought about it, I was like, okay, Arsenal is winning, but okay, there's the Southampton match. They didn't win big last time. Arsenal is already safe. Maybe PSV can do something, but like Arsenal should be favorites. They should, but
to win.
You never know. Like PSV is a good team, and they should not be underestimated.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have West Ham versus Silkeborg of Denmark.
No, that's not how you pronounce it. No. Try again.
So you say it, you pronounce it first.
Silkeborg. Yeah, it's good enough. It's like,
sorry.
if I was not from Denmark, I will never ever try to speak Danish because it's so freaking difficult. So yeah, like I think sadly right now West Ham is going to win because West Ham is doing good right now. West Ham is winning. I think West Ham is winning. Silkeborg is an okay team, but not a big team in any way. They were a bit lucky last season getting to this. So yeah, I think West Ham is winning, especially how West Ham is doing right now. If it was if West Ham was when they were in 19th or whatever they were in the league, I could see Silkeborg winning. But as it is right now, West Ham is too strong.
Yeah. Just to say, West Ham are safe as well. They are through comfortably to the next round. That is it. Thank you very much to everybody who watched. If you watch back, thank you very much, and we will see you on Friday.